What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Whoa.
You don't know that clip?
No, I thought you started the episode with fuck it. We'll do
I did say fuck it. I did start fuck it. Come on. Our friends know less. But no, that clip of the news reporter where he's like screaming at the people behind the scenes and he's like, "Oh, you got to look it up. It's fantastic." Mark and I just made a joke about it the other day. And he was like, he's like yelling at the screen. He's like,
oh my God.
I think he's talking about the teleprompter. And he's like, "Fuck it. You write it and I'll say it. The fucking thing sucks." And he's like pointing at the teleprompter and everything. And then it like, you can hear a guy in the background going like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to like when they go live. And he's like literally cuts from that and goes, "And that's all we have for you tonight, folks." Like all this stuff. And he like cuts it. They cut the episode. It's like, all right, like have a good night. And then the episode rolls and it jumps from the like front on camera to a camera up in the ceiling that just gives like a big like overview of the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him just grab the papers that are on the desk. He
Oh,
throws them.
God.
He gets up and he's like ripping the white out and everything. It's fantastic. I'll have to send it to you. Oh,
Jeez,
it's so good.
How have I never seen that? Because I do.
It's fantastic.
I've normally like I see the like funny like news bloopers and stuff, but I don't know
It's
how
old.
I've never.
It's older.
Okay.
But it's funny as shit. It's so good. So like anytime, like if I'm at work or something and there's like a bunch of shit going on, all of us in the office are just like, "Fuck it, we'll do it live."
Oh, okay. I've never.
It's great.
Yeah, some of that one. I've never seen it on.
On that note, on the note of doing it live, welcome everybody to
On the note of
episode
you-
number. What?
Just, I would say on the note of you just saying "fuck it" 12 billion times.
Fuck it, yeah. Start a count. Welcome to episode number 90, the F1 Underground podcast. Episode 90 is a weird thing to say. We were just talking about this before we started recording. We started this season. Our F1 2024 season preview was episode number 49.
Mm-hmm.
So we effectively got 40 episodes out of an F1 season, which is wild. But welcome everybody. If you're new here, if you're some new friends, we've gotten some new Spotify followers. So if you're new here,
okay.
Yes. My name is Owen. That is my sister Casey. We are co-hosts, not guests of this show.
I need Kyle to send me that clip.
For anybody wondering why we said that, we were recently re-listening to like our very first episode, and Casey starts out the episode and calls me her guest. So I've been just a recurring guest for 90 episodes. So that's good.
I don't know why because I don't think at first you were like gonna do everything.
Yeah.
So we just had you on because I didn't know who else I was gonna talk to, but it's
good,
so
good time.
funny.
Yeah.
Here's my guest.
Here's my guest, my brother.
And then like 2 episodes later, we had Mark on as a guest.
Yeah. But yes, welcome. Like I said, if you're new here, we meet weekly to discuss all the happenings and fun things that are going on in the Formula One world. We breach into other forms of racing every so often when bigger news stories happen, but we mainly stick with Formula One. We're both massive fans. We both love it. So yeah, we have a good episode tonight for you guys. We're gonna start off with our meme of the week and news. I'm getting a phone call from the same number that's been calling me for the past 5 days, and they never pick up on the other end. So that's good. We're going to start off with our meme of the week, jump into some weekly news. There isn't much, but there have been some rumors flying around today. After that, we will then jump into our 2024 season recap, in which Casey and I both today went back and re-listened to our season preview because we wanted to see how much crap we were going to get wrong. There's a lot. I literally have like a full page of notes, which is funny.
I took a lot of notes too.
Yeah.
We were pretty, we were 50-50. We got a decent amount of things wrong and a decent amount of things
I felt
kind
like
of right.
I felt like it went on like a team by team basis because there were teams that we got it all wrong and there were teams that we got it all right. So it was like
Haas. We were completely wrong on Haas. And I'm happy to say we were completely wrong on Haas.
So it was great. But after that, we'll include it in that. We will do our biggest surprise, our biggest flop, our MVP of the season, and the overtake of the year. And we'll close it out with some F1 Threads mailbags. We asked you guys for some voicemails. We got a couple, so we're going to listen to them and see what you guys thought about the 2024 F1 season.
Yes.
So we'll jump in to Meme of the Week right away. This is going to be Casey's meme first. I'm sharing the screen. I'm playing the video that is super.
Can you?
Oh, my.
You don't need to play the sound. I thought whatever power surge went through my apartment was going through my headphones. I'm so sorry. If you're a headphone listener, I'm so sorry.
We should give a warning about that.
Give a warning.
Like 5 minutes and 30 seconds in, don't be aware. Oh my God, that was brutal. Sorry, everybody.
I'll just mute this. I'll mute the clip.
Perfect.
Can you make it full screen?
Can I? What?
Can you click on the video and make it open up bigger or zoom in?
No, this is what I was trying to do earlier. It's very annoying. Here you go. Here's the biggest and most formatted it's going to get.
So this clip is my meme of the week this week is from the F1 account, actually. They don't give us a lot of content this, but it's off season, so I feel like that's probably why. But it's a clip from, I'm guessing, one of the races this past season. And it's the drivers stepping up onto the scale to get weighed after they get out of the car. And as each driver steps up, it's a meme for that driver. So obviously Charles is the, oh my God, I look so good. Checo is the Vegas from last year. Joe is, I need new pants after this track. There's some insane, it's such a good one because the way it's just it times perfectly for when they walk up and then it just starts playing it right as it goes, but it's such a good meme, and it kind of, they're not even from this season because obviously, you have Bessie's on the podium, but then that one that was super loud is Alex Albon, and it's from back during COVID when it was the when they would play on over live and do Twitch streams
the sim
and stuff.
racing.
So that's what Alex Albon, and he's yelling, but yes, that was my meme of the week.
Very good. Sorry again about everybody's eardrums. I'll throw my hands up on that one. That one was all
that
me.
was so loud.
All right, so my meme of the week is not a video, so no blowing your eardrums out for this one. But I love myself a SpongeBob meme. I think they're the funniest.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Funniest goddamn things.
The way you paused and said, "I love myself," some SpongeBob.
I do. I love myself too. A little self-love going on over here.
You pause before you can.
Healthy.
Healthy.
But yes, I do also love SpongeBob memes as much as I love myself. And this one today is kind of from the rumors that are breaking out today, and we can just kind of segues right into the next rumor.
Weekly news, yeah.
Weekly news. But ESPN F1 posted that it is official that Sergio Perez is out at Red Bull, and Liam Lawson will be taking his place. This was the only official source that I've seen so far today talk about it. There has been no statement from Red Bull made whatsoever. So strictly a rumor at this point. But it is the meme of Squidward looking outside his blind, staring at Patrick and SpongeBob running through the streets and having fun. And Patrick and SpongeBob are listed as Max and Liam. And Squidward is listed as Yuki Tsunoda, just because the running joke right now is that Yuki is just getting left out, and
he is.
It's
Justice
literally
for Yuki.
all of Formula Dank right now is just Yuki memes. It's all of it.
Should be, because justice for Yuki, man.
Yeah. But yes, that kind of takes us right into our weekly news. But first off, whose weekly news brought to you by?
IPF1 Store.com for all your amazing pieces of art, F1 art, FE art. Like we always say, you can get something for your desk, hang up on your wall, coffee mug, t-shirts, hats. You've seen us wear the hats, but we love it. Coupon code is underground10. The only vowels leading you over at IPF1 Store.com to get 10% off your purchase. But yes, as we said, Owen's meme kind of is running with it. Not to repeat, but there is strong rumors that Red Bull will be announcing that Checo will be out, and then it's going to be Liam in that seat, which means Yuki stays with the Racing Bulls and Isaac Hadjar comes up from F2. ESPN, Nate Saunders posted an article, but then there was that post on ESPN F1 account in general, like the main account, that was then quickly deleted. But I've seen like the Sky Sports like in different like countries post about it, but nothing from the main Sky Sports, nothing from Autosport, nothing from Motorsport, nothing from Andrew Benson at BBC, nothing from like there's nothing from the top places that I would go looking for, and then obviously nothing from Red Bull this as well. The Nate Saunders article did say that we would get confirmation before Christmas. Christmas Eve is a week away, so who knows, with our luck, it could come out tomorrow as soon as we're done recording that, yes, Checo is going to be out and Liam's going to be in. There's a lot of... I do feel bad for Yuki because Yuki's competed pretty fairly against Daniel and against, obviously, Nick DeVries and against Liam over the past 3 years that I think has more... You would think has more of a pull than Liam Lawson. But there's also all these people saying that they're literally only keeping Yuki because he's the connection of Honda, and as soon as Honda's over and out, Yuki's then probably on his way out, which sucks because I do think Yuki deserves a shot. I also... Sorry,
I'm like scrolling Twitter right now to see if there's anything.
No, there hasn't been anything.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean... What's it called? There has not... I mean, there's been nothing... was nothing from any of the top sources, like I said. Like, F1, nothing at all. None of them, like, even posting about it, like, no, this is not true. There's just been nothing. So, obviously, I think something is definitely going to happen.
Right.
It's just not... Is it before Christmas? Is it within the next week? Or is it going to be after Christmas? We'll have to find out. But, yeah. I don't know if Liam's ready for that Red Bull seat. I do think Max will continue to carry the team. I don't think Liam's going to be fighting Max like for first place every week. No. Let alone they won't let that happen. He will be he will be the number 2 driver, but yeah, I do feel for Yuki. He just keeps getting overlooked.
It's becoming more and more apparent that Liam is going to get the seat when this move supposedly happens, whether it's the end of next year or even in a week or two. So I do feel for Yuki just because he fights a lot. And he puts in a lot of effort, obviously, just as much as anybody else to get up there to Red Bull. So it sucks to see. I do think it's going to be... The decision with going with Liam has the potential for more fallout than you have right now with Checo. Because Checo at least had a couple years of racing underneath his belt.
Yeah, he had an F1 career already.
Right. And when he got promoted to Red Bull, so it's kind of like, okay, he's been in the sport for a while, so I'm surprised that Red Bull is kind of going with maybe a younger guy who hasn't obviously been racing in Formula One for as long.
It wasn't a full season yet, but yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I'm bummed for Yuki. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's the wrong decision because it could end up being the absolutely right one. But I do agree with you. He's not going to be fighting with Max. You know, it's not going to be, any sort of kind of papaya rules situation that we saw this year. It's not going to be, Red Bull rules, with them. So it should be interesting. But yeah, it sucks for Yuki, but good for Liam, I guess. Everybody's fighting to get to that top spot, and you have to congratulate the person when they get up there. But yeah, it's tough to see for Yuki,
Yeah. And then I see all people saying like they think I saw a mix. People saying they think Liam will do well, or they could see it being a Gasly and Albon situation.
Yeah.
And Liam get ousted. But then who the hell do they put Yuki in the car then if Liam gets ousted? I mean, I saw comments from Helmut Marko after postseason testing because Yuki was in the Red Bull, and Helmut Marko was pretty happy with Yuki's performance. So, like, you would think that also would be pull for Yuki if Helmut Marko's on his side, but I mean, Helmut Marko used to be his biggest, like, he was not a fan of his, especially when he came over the radio and, like, was complaining, like, super angry. But if we get Yuki and Isaac Hadjar on the same team next year, that's going to be Yuki's definitely mature, but Isaac Hadjar is going to be Yuki of his rookie year complaining over the radio. Like, fully.
100%. Isaac is a little hot-tempered sometimes, but it's just going to be, Yuki's going to get a look at, like, going to be in the garage one day seeing Isaac, like, complain or something, and he's going to be like, fuck, is that what I was like?
Yeah, he's like, is that what I sounded like?
Yeah, damn.
I do think someone said they do feel bad also for Checo, because now he'll be, like, to try to even get a, like, reserve driver role. He'll have, like, no time, but I could see, because he has such a big pool with obviously being from Mexico and all that, bringing all that money, do they keep him on like they kept Daniel on at first? But I feel like that's kind of an insult to Checo.
That's kind of an insult to Checo. That is an insult to Checo. I'm not even going to say kind of actually. It is. Hey, you're not good enough to drive anymore, but because of the money you bring in, we're going to keep you on in like
PR boy.
A representative role. That would be a huge insult to Checo. And if I was Checo, I'd be like, fuck off. No.
Yeah, I would say no. I'd be like, sorry, I'm not. Like, I'll go enjoy my time with my kids, take the season off, and then come back. Yeah.
If I'm not gonna drive, I'm not gonna be involved in the sport. You know, not whatsoever, but in an official capacity. You know,
because who would be smart to bring him on if he if he gets replaced and goes without a season. I'm not against Cadillac and General Motors going after.
That's good. Yeah.
That'd be huge money for them to come in.
Yeah. And as a new team too, that's huge.
Along with all the American money that's probably going to come in because they're going to be the new American team with such huge names behind them. It makes more sense than Daniel Ricciardo, which Daniel Ricciardo did have an Enchanté pop up in New York. Did you see this clip? And someone asked him, like, oh, are you going to, like, come back or whatever for General Motors? And he was like, nah, I'm done. Like, let the man go. He's over.
Let him rest.
Yeah, let him rest. Let him enjoy his life.
He's deserved it. He can go have his new bromance relationship with Josh Allen and not be completely...
Well, someone also asked him about how he thought about Josh Allen's engagement, and he said, I guess I got a wedding to plan now.
Are they that close? Well,
I think they're pretty... I mean, it could have been joking around. They are close. They are very close. But yeah, I do think it's obviously time to move on from.
Yeah, let the man rest.
Because whatever, I can't think of that stat. I don't know if we said it last week, but like the point differential for how far apart Max and
the points gap to Max with him and Checo. It's like 248 points or something like that.
Yeah, it was wild. But yes, so that was the Red Bull rumors. Like we said, it is technically a rumor, but I do think we get something.
It's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
Knowing our luck, it'll break in the middle of the night.
No, it's going to.
Tomorrow. It'll be 3 a.m. tomorrow morning when it breaks, when we're both asleep. And the day after
literally break an hour before I wake up. And I'm like, okay, great. Now I'm an hour late to posting this. Starts. But yes, so there's that. Actually, you know what? I could see them not bringing it in the middle of the night because of Checo and the Mexican press. Give them that satisfaction.
Fair. Yes. I could,
but at the same time, I could also be like, nah, your driver's leaving. We got to make sure it breaks in time for the New Zealand crowd to find out before they go to sleep and that their driver is getting the Red Bull seat. But
we got to capitalize on the New Zealand crowd.
Because they were pissed when they found out that Daniel Ricciardo was kicked off because it happened in the middle of the night. They woke up to that news.
That's right. That is right.
They woke up to it. But yes, that was the rumor, the Red Bull rumors. This is a piece of news. It's not really breaking news, obviously, but today was Ferrari, it came out that this was actually Fred's idea, and Fred planned it all. But Ferrari had the Sainz family out today back at the factory, and they both Carlos and Carlos's dad drove the F1 F75, which is the car that Carlos won Silverstone with. So there was clips of them, like, both in the car, like his dad around the track, and then there was a clip of them coming around the turn next to each other. And then there was a shot of him in like a vintage Ferrari car, like an old school one with the number 5 on it, Carlos, and that's what he took his last few laps in. But they were all there. Charles came, like, he wasn't scheduled to be at the factory, but Charles still came and like spent the day with everyone. But it was very, very nice. When you found that out that it was Fred's idea, and that's what people were like, Ferrari's leadership is definitely changing, because Sebastian Vettel, when he left Ferrari, got nothing. I've learned this all.
Yeah.
They could have cared less if he was leaving. And I think same for Kimi Räikkönen. So it is nice to see that Carlos, they got a proper goodbye. Yeah. So
yeah. And he deserves it. Yeah. He absolutely deserves it. Yeah.
Maybe Ferrari, after like seeing how teams handled Logan and Daniel this year, were like, and Esteban, they were like, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, and like that's like drivers that were replaced like mid-season or kind of were like in the shit when they got replaced. This was a driver that completed his career or his stint in his career with your team, and it was
with your team,
and was a race winner for you multiple times. So that makes sense. I saw a couple of the clips. I really enjoyed them. Like I said, I think it's same thing as you. Super nice of Ferrari to do that, and I love that Fred planned that all, because it's still just knowing him as like the people see him as like this grumpy old man, and then he's this big softy is hilarious. Well, but
that's the group photo. There was like a group photo with them like on the track in the cars, and like Fred's. Well, it's funny because everyone's in the red, and then Carlos's dad is in like a white racing suit. Charles is wearing like a huge blue puffer jacket, and then there's Fred like in black, like dead center. But Fred's not smiling. Someone's like, Fred looks so like miserable. I was like, no, Fred is the epitome of a resting bitch face, but is the most unserious person alive.
Yeah,
so
100%. That man is.
That man is. Yeah, he looks miserable, but he's anything from miserable. But
always looks miserable.
Always. But yes, that was the weekly news. Not really weekly news, but still the same thing. 2024 season recap, which is going to be brought to you by today, BoxBox.
Yes, this is brought to you by BoxBox. If you are unfamiliar with what BoxBox is, it is the best Formula One app out there on the market for iOS and Android. It is an F1 app built by fans, for fans. Casey and I have been using this before we started working with them. I found it last year or at some point, and I
found it
immediately
like at right before we started recording the first episode. You found it.
Yeah, and it is like it's a fantastic app. It's wonderfully designed. It's so smooth and it works so well. And everything that you hear, if you listen back to some old episodes or if you listen to us next season and we talk about race recaps, everything you hear in those race recaps, we're pulling from BoxBox. It's what position drivers finished in compared to what they qualified in, what laps they went in for, what tires they came back out on, what like all this stuff. It comes straight from BoxBox. We're so happy to be working with them. And what that gets for you guys, if you use code Underground30 in the iOS App Store, that'll get you 30% off the first year of your Ultra Plan subscription. So the Ultra Plan subscription removes all ads from the UI. It gets you more unlocked widgets. So there's a couple specific widgets that are behind the Ultra Plan that are fantastic. I cannot recommend them enough. That it unlocks that for you guys. It also, if you have an Apple Watch, you get some custom watch faces. You get some watch complications, which are just the widgets on the screen of the watch that you can interact with. I love it. It's so much fun to use. Casey and I, we cannot get enough of it. Like I said, Underground 30. That code is only on iOS. I'm sorry, Android people, you can still download the awesome app. I highly recommend you do so, but the discount code only works on iOS only. We also have a link to the code in our description, in our bios, in our social media. If you click on that link, it'll take you to the App Store. It'll download the app for you and apply that code right away. You don't even have to think about it. It just does it for you. So we recommend you do that method. Thank you to BoxBox for sponsoring this portion. 2024 season recap. This is...
Yeah, as Owen said at the beginning, we both went back and listened to if you have been fans of the show for a while, we did the live last year right before the season, and it was literally the week before Bahrain.
Yeah.
We did a whole preseason predictions, what we expected from each team. We went through each one.
Yeah.
So we went back and listened. We took some notes. Like we said, we were completely off in some aspects, and we were kind of on the money with others. But yeah, so you just want to go down. I broke it down in each team as we were talking about.
I broke it down by team as well.
So do you want to start with Haas?
We can start with Haas. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
When I re-listened to the episode, my whole thing with them for the 2024 season was, quote, improving their Drive to Survive storyline, meaning every episode of Drive to Survive up until hopefully this new season coming out has always been that Haas is this down on their luck team. They always struggle. It's always like, hey, I think we can do better this year, and then they don't. And it's always just kind of struggle. I had said that I hope that they improved on it. I think they will. I think the storyline for Drive to Survive will be
easily going to be 10 times different. 100%.
Yeah.
10 times different.
Hopefully they talk about AO a lot. Him coming in. I want to see him sit down in that dark room that they do all the really close-up interviews on. But yeah, my whole thing with them was just improve the storyline. It kind of was a backwards way of saying just improve the season overall. And I think they did. I think it was a better season for them in general.
Well, we also talked about like how last season, the 2023 season, we would see like these like glimpses, like they would be good. Like you would see a random like Q3 appearance, but then they would completely die off in the race. And that's what we hoped that more of that continued. And I think 100% that app that improved immensely. I mean, Nico Hulkenberg was a normal appearance in Q3. Like it was shocking if he was going on Q2, people were like, "Oh, Nico's eliminated," because like he was supposed to be in Q3, and then their race pace was night and day. I mean, you had some of the highest finishes for some of them, but yeah, they were at the top of the midfield, which they are usually in the other situation like Sauber, where they're at the bottom of the midfield.
Yeah,
no points. So yeah, they absolutely had an improvement, I think, all around for them this past season. So
the other thing too that we talked about was their tire deg issues and everything that they kind of suffered in 2023 with tire deg and how they were going to improve with that on 2024. And I think again, it was not we had a lot happen this year. So forgive me if I'm forgetting it, but tire deg on the Haas's was not a big, long-running storyline that was kind of always an issue, you know? So, again, they did it. You know, I think they improved on it. And I'm happy that we get to see them improve. You know, they're the only American team on the grid, so we kind of have like a little bit of a relationship with them because we're just like, you know what? Yeah, like you guys, the Americans can compete in F1. So it's nice to see. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think they improved. I think they had that awesome fight with Alpine all the way till the end of the year, and it kind of flew under the radar just because we had the whole Red Bull topple and McLaren Ferrari, but it was still a big fight for them, and it's...
Oh, that battle for P6 was intense.
Yeah.
Going in the last
it was a lot of fun.
It was intense because it came down to the last race.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm happy. I also think they have the momentum to keep going into 2025. I don't think it's going to slow down. And with Ali, I think they have the perfect young gun who had a decent amount of experience this past season in the car already. So I think it'll be good for them continuing. Sauber. I like that one of the first predictions is that green looks so nice on the track.
Well, all right, hold on. Cut us some slack. We knew nothing. We didn't know nothing about this team. It was this whole brand refresh for Stake, Sauber, Kick, whatever the fuck their name is.
Yeah.
And it's You go
No
from
good.
having this white and red car in Sauber, which was originally Alfa Romeo, and then you have this black and green, I called it the Ben 10 car.
Yeah.
I
had that note. I said Owen did not commit to calling them the Ben 10
not.
team.
It didn't stick, you know? Don't get me wrong. I thought about it every time. Every time I saw the car, all of a sudden I had this random rush to watch Ben 10, but it did not stick. But
Well, also when we
ahead.
did preseason predictions, it was right after testing, and they did not look awful in testing.
No. Yeah,
so
nobody
we had.
Yeah,
we had some high expectations, but I mean,
I really enjoyed. There's this one quote that stuck out to me. I'm really hoping that you wrote it down too, because I
please,
found that hilarious.
Is it a quote that you said?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. So he said, Sauber has to toe the line and walk it really well between, hey, we don't suck, but we're also not that good.
I did not write that one down. I wrote down your quote. You said, I want to be pleasantly surprised by them. And I feel like that could also work to be like, yeah, you're pleasantly surprised at how awful they were.
I was pleasantly surprised at how awful they were, and I was pleasantly surprised when Joe scored points. That's when I was pleasantly surprised by. Yeah, the whole gist that we kind of talked about with Sauber was just kind of this like fill the gap years before you became Audi. And I had said specifically too that, you know, Audi is a prominent brand and they're known with developing these luxury, powerful cars, you know, and Audi is not going to want their brand associated with a losing team. So I was like, that's where that line came out of like, you need to kind of toe the line of don't suck really bad, but also don't become this like powerhouse.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of fill the gap until Audi comes in. And they sucked really bad.
Yeah, they did. But they also think they did this whole rebrand with the look of the team at the beginning of the season, but then like I don't think the higher ups were still great because you had Mattia Binotto coming in halfway through. So I do have a different outlook on next season, but yeah, it does suck that Joe and Bottas had to go out on such a low of a season. Like when they were both pretty decent the year before in the Alfa Romeo, in the Sauber, but
even next year though is even more of a fill the gap year.
Yeah, it's like the biggest fill the gap year.
It's fill the gap because it's like, fuck it, we got Audi coming in, we got new regulations in 2026, and we just scored 4 points for the whole fucking season in 2024. Who gives a shit what happens in 2025?
2025, I think it's going to be a big battle of just fill the gap years between Sauber and Williams. I have a feeling it's going to be like, what are they even doing on track?
What are they doing? What are we doing?
I also it was just be okay. Just pick on someone your own size. I don't even know who was on their own side.
I have the quote, don't shoot for the moon. They fucking didn't. They barely shot for the front yard.
We really kept the expectations low for Sauber. And I mean, they didn't meet them, clearly. Sorry, Sauber. No. If anyone from this team listens to us. But, I
also think one of the funniest things about Sauber, especially considering how this season went, is their giant hashtag unleashed on their wing, on their rear wing.
Unleash what?
Unleash what? A fucking bunny? What are we unleashing here?
Unleash what? I mean, at least we got just give Joe a good home race, and he did have a good home race.
Yes, we did. You know what? We did talk about that too, and because you said it, you're like, I'm happy to see Joe race at home,
because
and
China
that
was
lived
pretty
up to
early on, so we knew what it was coming. Obviously.
Yeah, that lived up to the hope that we had for it. You know, it was he got this kind of special honor. It was a big race for him. Did he score points? No. Who cares? It was a big event for him. So yes, that good work. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Sauber, and we can attest the green does look really nice on track.
The green does look really good on track.
Person.
Yeah. Wait, you know what I was thinking about when we were talking about this, and it kind of touches on when we speak about McLaren. At that time in the season, we had no idea that we were going to Miami.
No, the only kind of motorsport thing we knew was one of us was going to was me, St. Pete, because I left the next weekend.
Yeah.
No, we had no idea. No idea we'd be seeing F1 cars in person. But yes, that was Sauber. Coming up next is VCarb.
VCarb.
I just love that we said they're going to be a sleeper agent and very surprising.
This is what I'm saying, though. We got it so wrong by team. Because then there's teams later where it's like, yeah, we said this, and they all did it. Like,
we said they're going to be a sleeper agent. We said there's going to be the return of prime Daniel Ricciardo.
That killed
that ended up. Owen was so sure they were going to be 4th place in the constructors. They're going to shock us all.
In my defense, all the rumors leading up to preseason testing were that VCarb was just getting the RB19.
Yeah,
that
you know how
Red
the
Bull,
RB19 was.
Right, and we were like, holy shit, the RB19 was so dominant, that it was like, sure, maybe they're getting a toned down version of it, but it's still the RB19. When literally the first words out of my mouth were
sleeper agent,
and I want to see the return of prime Daniel Ricciardo, I almost lost it.
I was like, oh, just
the one thing we did get right. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong. The one thing we got wrong, I did say I wanted to see Yuki finish P5 or higher.
Yeah, he did.
And his highest finish throughout the season was 7.
Oh, so we were close.
We were close.
But I just like that you were so confident. Even me, when you said you could see the team finishing 4th place, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Above like Mercedes.
I don't know what the fucking crack I was smoking.
But yeah.
That was.
We kind of talked about them at the beginning. I think next year, I think they'll be in the same place as next year. So
I don't think they're gonna do. I don't know if it's Yuki in the car and it's Isaac in the car. Okay, you're like.
They need to work on the strategy stuff because the strategy stuff for them this past season, it was their downfall. But
yeah,
I don't think they're gonna be sleeper agents.
No, definitely not gonna be sleeper agents. But you never know. Maybe this year is when they get the RB19.
True. Maybe it was 2 years.
Maybe it's 2025 is when they'll get the RB19, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, could you imagine if they get the RB20 after what we just watched?
Yeah. What the fuck?
Okay.
God.
Williams.
I have a really sad quote for this, or my
Williams?
note is really bad, like really sad.
I wrote a really sad quote because we had such high expectations for Logan.
We were so hyped about Logan.
Hyped.
Yeah.
I need Logan to beat everyone's expectations. That was.
I really, really need Logan Sargent to improve. That's a direct quote. That is.
We had so much confidence in the poor kid. So much because we were like, he had a full season under his belt, like all this and that. Yeah, we were completely wrong there. Clearly.
Yeah.
I also think you said, you or me said, I think the Williams will be fighting with the Astons and VCarb.
What were we thinking?
Williams is basically fighting with Sauber.
This is my really sad, my note for this. I wrote, I feel like Williams did exactly what we thought, as in they weren't supposed to be good, and they really weren't, but somehow it feels worse in my head. Like it's literally like we knew they weren't going to be top of the line.
No.
We knew they weren't going to be top of the line, but we knew that they were going to, we wanted them to improve, but we kind of knew, okay, it's Williams. They're going to struggle a little bit. Somehow it feels like a step below that, though. It's like, oh, we had low expectations for you, but we didn't set them that low.
Yeah, we were.
We
also said Williams and Haas were going to be in a battle, and Haas was nowhere near close to Williams.
Nowhere near close.
Nowhere close. We also said we wanted Alex Albon to get a podium, and I feel like in some instances maybe he was close, but not nearly close enough.
No.
But yeah, I just can't get over it. We had so much confidence in Logan Sargent.
What were we?
So much confidence.
This is making me question our entire.
We weren't alone though, because we were
Mark's
article up because that was just after Mark interviewed both James and Logan, and James also had a lot of
we talked about James's direct quote of, we have a
Mhm.
lot of faith in Logan. You know, we seriously think he's going to do better, blah, blah, blah. We talked about how much like his training had
How much
switched
weight
up
he
and everything,
gained.
how much
Yeah.
weight and muscle he put on, like all this stuff. And yeah, we definitely weren't the only ones that were feeling that way. So it hurts to see a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely we were high on the Williams confidence. So that's sad to see.
Yeah.
I loved the next team that we went to because there was
Alpine.
one thing that I fucking harped on.
Okay, what do you... Oh, you were, because this was like very quick. You were so on the car needs more color, but
Car needed more color, and look what fucking happened.
look what happened at the end of the season when the car was
Yeah.
fully pink.
You fucking killed it. You killed it.
You
Pierre
won
Gasly went on
P6 in the championship.
Yeah. Some of our quotes from this were quote, too fast to be considered with Haas. I thought that was funny just because obviously Haas and them were fighting towards the end of the season. My quote, I want to see more goddamn color on the car. Look what happens when you put color on the car. Pierre Gasly goes on an absolute burner of a stretch of last couple races.
Yeah.
You quote,
Oh no.
I'm sorry for the entire investor crew.
Oh,
Because,
because
that was after like Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, they all invested in the team.
Yeah.
Like Roy McIlroy too, like all of them. So it was like we saw that news come out, and then they saw all of them come out like in preseason testing when like Pierre and Esteban were like, the car sucks, and we were both like, oh shit. Like,
no, you go back and watch that car launch from last year, and then when they cut to the three of them Jack Doohan and Pierre and Esteban sitting in the crowd, and they have no emotion, and it's like, yeah, they knew that car was shit the moment it was revealed. The
other quote that you said too is Pierre left AlphaTauri because he knew he wasn't going to win in that car.
Yeah.
Now he's in an Alpine, which he technically never won, but they did score a double podium. So I thought
he
that
did
was
get
funny.
on the podium, and he did have a decent. Yeah, Pierre didn't have an awful season. But yeah, Alpine. We also said the fight at the back is the back of the grid.
The back
is going to be Haas and Alpine. We didn't say the midfield, which was what obviously clearly happened. So we were completely wrong there. But yeah, Alpine never change.
I'm just saying.
If you put pink on your car, look
what happens when you put color on the car.
Maybe it's not all down to carbon fiber.
I will say too, killed it with the collabs this year when they went with the Deadpool and Wolverine collaboration, and Esteban Ocon naturally kills it with the Marvel helmets.
Yeah, always.
Did really good.
And they did the Indiana Jones one, but that one was kind of subtle.
That one was a little bit more subtle. That one I think flew under the radar because everybody was just like, oh, they look like McLaren.
Yes, they did, and because it was Coda, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Yes, I feel like I remember Mark posting a photo of it. Yeah, I mean with the red Deadpool Wolverine because they had the suits and everything, so it was like perfect collab. But yes, that was Alpine. Aston Martin. We really didn't say anything concrete. I feel like with this, we said Stroll needed to take a step up.
Yep.
Did he? I don't think he did.
When he drives in the gravel at 10 miles an hour, that's not a step up to me.
They cannot afford to take a step back with upgrades. I don't even know if they ever had decent upgrades brought to the grid.
Nope.
And then we said more of a tighter in team battle between Stroll and Alonso, and maybe they did because I don't feel like Alonso had his best season either. But somehow Aston Martin still finished P5 in the championship, which is seems very weird. But
we said the other thing too. You said it at the beginning of the season. I feel like Alonso will be fighting for podiums again. And
I had a lot of hype from the hype train at the beginning of 2024.
Well, you know what? It's understandable because, like we said, we talked again. If you listen to this episode, we kind of say the same thing. You see the launch that Aston Martin has in 2023. and how good they were. And then it was the midseason development kind of screwed them over. So I think our train of thought was, okay, you've been developing this car for a while now. You know where the successes lie in the start of the season. You just need to figure out the midseason development and how to react to kind of different changes. But setting up a car at the start, you can do well. And they didn't. It was fine. It was okay. It was just never like it. They've been chasing that 2023 start ever since it happened, and they have not. I don't think they've made any significant progress.
No, but next year, I think the mid-season upgrades, because they'll probably be the first ones Adrian Newey has a full hand at working on. Totally different. Totally different.
Aston Martin's going to be
on
scary.
the podium. Yeah. 100%. But yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That honestly, those were the same two thoughts I had for Aston
I did
Martin.
not
was Stroll being improved upon, and Aston or Alonso fighting for podiums again. That was it.
The last four, I had the most notes between the last four teams.
That is exactly. Yep, that makes sense.
So McLaren. I just want to say you wanted top 5 for Lando and top 7 for Oscar. You could not have been more wrong.
Come on, cut me some slack.
In a good way, I know. Good way.
I'm not gonna sit there and be like Lando and Oscar 100% getting their wins this year when we just saw Max in 2023. This is where the team starts switching to. We got stuff right. McLaren, Lando Norris, first race win. I called that. Mm-hmm. That's when it happened. I was hoping that was the episode where I had said, if Lando wins his first race, I'll join Threads, but I'm pretty sure that might have been the next episode with Mark.
It's with Mark because Mark, it was with Mark. I think it was towards the end because that's when we were like giving our sign offs and stuff. We do obviously say we want to see Lando get his first win, which we were lucky enough to see that first win in person. Still be the highlight of Owen's entire 2024, I think, on top of getting married, as we know.
Getting married and then the race. That's what it is.
We also said we needed them to start off strong and keep going strong, and that's exactly what we did. I mean, shout out to those Miami upgrades because that's really where their season turned around completely.
100% where it took off. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was kind of – I was thinking back to the beginning of the year. I was like, all right, I'm a little worried at their start. And then seeing Lando's win – again, fantastic to see. But that's 100% where it happens. I would also like to call out, I was hoping to hear this. I remember saying in one episode, it was from this year. I remember saying, I'm hoping that once Lando gets his first win, that's when the floodgates are going to open. And that's when it's going to be, and it 100% did for Lando himself. And also McLaren in general.
I would say I have it up. If you look at the beginning of last season, they were only on until before Miami. McLaren was only on the podium in Australia and China, and in Miami where he won. And ever since Miami, there is Oscar or Orlando on the podium. The rest, except for Austin, but there's only a few instances where they are not on the podium. But ever after Miami. That is truly where they just took off and kept going.
I love the predictions or the conversation that we had of if Lando and Oscar both start winning, because we kind of predicted Papaya rules.
I have that quote. I said I wrote down McLaren isn't going to be perfect this year. It's not going to be all positive. No, there will be issues, etc. throughout the year. Yes, we literally predicted to a T that there was going to be drama within the team. The one thing we did get wrong, and we were completely off. Obviously the top 5 and top 7, we're happy to be wrong about that one. But we were kind of saying, is Oscar going to perform well or better than Lando?
That's it. Yeah, that is. I remember hearing that too, and I was like, you know what? I think at the time it's a great question to ask.
Yeah, because his sophomore season, for Oscar, what is he gonna continue doing or start off doing? But
we definitely got that a bit wrong because Lando definitely took the forefront of the year. obviously that's where we got the whole papaya rules and Mark Webber being pissed that Oscar was kind of getting relegated to a, number 2 driver. But
yeah,
I remember writing down the same thing. The other thing that I wanted to note too, we got a question from Linus in that episode. And
yes, we did.
He had asked us the question, no race wins and 2nd in the championship or race wins and 4th in the championship. Which one would McLaren prefer? I said race wins and 4th in the championship because I said, I think, and this is where I was hoping, I was like saying like the floodgates were going to open.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying I think it would do a lot for Lando and Oscar if they both got race wins and then their first race wins and then went from there. Even if it was 4th in the championship, so
I just like no one went in to last season with McLaren taking the entire Constructors Championship. No one.
Even Zach Brown.
Yeah.
Mark did that whole interview with Zach Brown, and Mark said,
mm-hmm.
Do you think you could fight for Constructors? And he was like, probably not this year. It might be a little too soon. But he said like definitely next year, so I am happy. We've talked about this multiple times. I'm so happy with the outcome of the season for McLaren. I'm happy that the only thing that we were wrong about was Oscar outperforming Lando.
Yeah.
That's it.
It wasn't like Oscar was so like completely far off. So
no. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to Ferrari, I just like that we started off saying in Fred we trust because I still believe in Fred we trust.
I believe that more now than when we said it at that time. I was just jumping on the train at that point. I believe it now. That is 100%. Yeah.
I don't think it was me that made the point or you, and I said the 2023 car was Binotto's car. And you saw as the season went on and Fred was making upgrades, the car was improving.
Yep.
And you saw, obviously, there was that stretch of 3 races this past season where those upgrades were awful. But the car was pretty strong. They sacrificed a little bit, maybe too much a quali pace or race pace, but it paid off. It
worked. Yeah.
Paid off. You weren't watching the McLarens and Red Bulls overtake the Ferraris this year and being like, did they even fight them? Like, I do, like we said, we wanted to see the Charles Leclerc we know and love, and I do think we saw. I
have that exact same note.
Yeah.
Yep.
We saw the Charles Leclerc we know and love. I texted you because you said you want Carlos to do something funny or cool, and I said, do you count the getting his appendix taken out and winning Australia the week after as something funny or cool?
I'm happy you texted me about this because I was listening to this point and I was like, oh, I guess he kind of didn't really do that. Yeah. And then I was like, I guess the funniest thing he did was like dragging us all through the ringer of what team is he going to go to and dragging that out as much as he could. But then you texted me that and you were like, yeah, he got his appendix out and then he won in Australia. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fucking hilarious. Yeah. That's like, yeah, absolutely. Yes, he definitely filled that request. Yeah.
He did that. And then, obviously, at the very end, I said, I just want Charles to win Monaco. And did he not just win Monaco? He also won Monza. So we broke the curse, people.
I have, for that Charles quote, I want to see the Charles Leclerc we know he can be. My note next to it is literally, wins Monaco, wins Monza, is fighting for World Constructors Championship. And then I have the other quote, which kind of wrong, but also kind of right, is if Red Bull's out of the picture, this might be Charles's year to fight for it all. Which it's like, at the time, we were like, okay, Red Bull, perfect
year.
Yeah. And then we were like, oh, it might be Charles's year to fight for it all. And he was not fighting for it all, but he was fighting for Constructors Champ. So we were kind of close.
And Ferrari won more races than I was expecting this year. Winning, and doing insane. I think also we did not talk about this in predictions, but we made jokes about it. But I think their entire 180 on strategy and pit stops and out of this world. It's a total
so much better.
Yes, so much better. And it's definitely paid off. You saw a couple one-stop strategies from Charles, which the past few years those cars would have eaten those tires with tire tanks. So But yeah, I also like because you had Mark's article up in the predictions episode, and Mark had a decent thing in there because obviously at this time we knew Carlos was on his way out and Lewis was coming in for 2025. I still believe in Mark's predictions for 2025, and I think a lot of people also by the end of this season believe that next year with Lewis and Charles, Ferrari has a shot at winning constructors, and if not having a strong chance at drivers with one of them.
Absolutely.
So even before that, we saw what this car was truly like and what Fred's leadership under a full year under Fred's leadership.
Yeah.
I still believe those predictions, but yeah, we broke the curse, but we were pretty good on Ferrari and McLaren. We just never expected them to be 1-2 in the constructors.
We did pretty well with our next team too.
Yeah,
I have a couple things that I was like, oh shit, we got that pretty well.
Yeah, which next on the grid is Mercedes. We had a decent amount. We were pretty good.
I said my biggest thing was how will they overcome the Lewis leaving storyline, and I think they did solely by the sense of George stepping into that veteran role. It was another piece that we had talked about too of I want to see him do that now. And I definitely think he has.
He for sure has stepped into more of a leadership role.
Yeah. So I was happy to hear that. The other thing that we did is we 100% correctly predicted Austria.
Did we?
Yes. And here's why.
Wait, I completely skipped over.
We 100%. It's like an indirect way of calling Austria, but we were talking about George and everything that happened in Singapore last year, where he is pushing that car to the limit, and you are fighting for P1 when you're in P3. He was chasing Lando for P2.
Yeah, it crashes,
and then he crashes. And we literally talked about.
Oh, you mean Australia?
No, Austria.
Oh,
no, hear me out.
Okay,
hear me out. We talked about we want to see the maturity in George.
Oh yes, okay.
Of not pushing to the car on the limit. And saying, okay, I'm in points now, less points than I would like, but I'm in points and I'm on podium.
Yeah.
And look what happens in Austria. He is fighting for P2. He's watching Max and Lando ahead of him go at it.
Out.
And he watches them take each other out, and he just breezes on by. And it's like, oh shit, there it is. So I'm calling that one. We 100% predicted what was going to happen in Austria. And then it was George being that mature veteran role, taking the leadership role on the team and saying, I'm in podium. I have points. I'm staying right here. I'm not getting up into that mess where those two idiots are going to take me out. And guess what?
Well, and I do feel like the past few, like the older seasons, I mean, people would literally call George a terror on track if we were starting next to him because he was going to take you out. I mean, him and Carlos did not like each other at start. So it was like Carlos and Oscar. So you definitely saw maturity with that as well. He had some decent starts, and he was able to jump the lead a lot. I mean, what was that? P1, P4 to P1, the one?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Where he got disqualified, right? Is that where you went P4 to P1?
Oh, fuck, God.
But, I mean, you can think about it. But I also think also talking about how when he crashes in Singapore and Carlos wins. I mean, we didn't say it, but he also crashes in Australia when Carlos wins.
Right. And both times is when Crofty says you can hear the roar of the crowd.
Yeah.
He literally crashes right. It's like a trigger word now.
Because it's like right at the end. It's literally so close to the end of the race. We also were dead on with saying that Lewis and communication with the team by the end of the season was going to be different.
Garbage.
I think it happened much earlier than we expected.
Yes.
Communication was garbage, and it was clear as day. But, we were pretty dead set. And we didn't even make that as a point with Ferrari, but we made that a point with Lewis and Mercedes.
I think with Lewis and Mercedes, it definitely sticks out more just because of Lewis's tenure with Mercedes and everything. So it's that whole process of kind of cutting him out is the start of you're leaving. It's the end of the era. The one thing I like to, and I wrote this down, so it says, can Mercedes send off Lewis in a meaningful way? And at the time we had meant that in the sense of performance and everything. And, can Mercedes give him a good season for his final season? I don't think it was a bad season for Mercedes. I mean, it could have been better, but
3 race wins. You had Lewis win Silverstone, which is one of my favorite wins of the season. You had when it's now clear as day that we all knew that car. Oh no, they had 4 race wins. Sorry, because it was 2 for George and 2 for Lewis.
Yes, that's
Lewis got the disqualification within George, obviously in Vegas, but it was clear as day that car was made for cool weather, and if all the races were in cool weather, that team was going to win. They would have been monsters on that track. But yeah, we were pretty on the money with Mercedes. We were completely off the money with a lot of things with Red Bull.
This is where we go back to getting it wrong. The only thing that we got right with Red Bull is that Max's back was going to be hurting.
Yeah, and that Checo would continue to struggle. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We said it was going to be a perfect season for Max. We said they were going to win all the races, and we expected complete dominance from them. Wrong.
The one thing that's still standing is I said that we were in the beginning stages of watching Max go on a generational run for WDC. And, we were going to see him win 7, 8, 9 championships. I less believe that now. And that is strictly because of Adrian Newey.
We've looked back. Adrian Newey was announced the week of Miami. And ever since the week of Miami is when they started to struggle.
Yeah.
And Max didn't win again for 9, 10 races in a row. So definitely, it definitely has a big point in play in the struggle that they ended up having.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a perfect season for Max, but it was definitely maybe one of the best seasons from Max. Last year, he had such complete dominance. He was driving 30 seconds ahead and was watching the races on the screen. This season, we got to see Mad Max on track. Yeah, he was fighting. And we got to see levels of different fights because you had the crazy ones with him and Lando, obviously all that drama. If he was fighting Charles, it was a very clean fighting. It was very clean fighting with him and Lewis. So it was definitely a good, different. I feel like he's said that this win might mean more because he had to genuinely fight for it. After a little bit, it was. I mean, he was going to lose in the middle of the season. It was not going to be his. It wasn't a shoo-in that he was winning, but yeah. We also said that the RB20 was going to be more of a rocket than the RB19.
No, it was not. Fast car, don't get me wrong. Good car, just not the rocket ship that the RB19 was.
No.
The other thing I wanted to call out,
affectionately naming RB20 like he named RB19.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to call out, we recorded this episode amid all of the Horner accusations and stuff like that. So we got a question, and that question was what's going to happen if Horner gets let go? Is he let go at that point? And we were like, no, he's not let go yet. There's nothing kind of official, blah, blah. You had said something, though, that you were like, if Horner is let go, I think the team is going to run itself. They'll be fine. I don't think that at all now.
No, well, because I wasn't taking that Adrian knew he was quitting and then not just putting in his notice, literally walking away from the team. So I wasn't. But yeah, I mean, it is wild to think that that's how that last season started, or this past season started with that storyline, and how it kind of just got brushed under the rug when it shouldn't have. I feel like there should have been more attention to it, but or more of a bigger outcome, I should say. But yeah, that was. We also said, I wrote this down. So we also said we thought Charles, George, Lewis, and the McLaren boys would get pole position. Oscar never got pole, right? He didn't get
Oscar
pole.
has not had. No, he did.
One time, right?
In one of the last few races of the season.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, he got. I should know this. What is it?
But we didn't say Carlos, which Carlos got pole. But yeah, it was. We were pretty also spot on because Charles clearly got pole. George got it. We were pretty. Lewis didn't, but Lewis the one. But yeah, we were pretty spot on with those predictions. And then we gave our Bahrain predictions, and we said it was going to be Max Charles Lando or Max Lando Charles.
Yes, that's right.
And we were wrong. I looked this up today.
Maybe he didn't get a pole position.
It was Max Perez Carlos, because remember at the beginning of the season, Charles was having that brake issue.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, he had a brake issue, but he still managed to finish 12th or 4th in that race. By some,
I don't think Oscar has finished on pole or has secured pole.
No, I don't think he has.
Piastri ever started on pole?
No.
Yes, Oscar Piastri has started on pole position in Formula One, including the 2024 Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Oh, maybe this is sprint pole. Yeah, for the sprint race.
Yeah, sprint.
No, sprint race he has. Yes.
Yeah, sprint race he has, but he's not in like a Grand Prix. But
maybe that's the clip I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Um,
yes. Those were our main preseason predictions, talking about how wrong we are. To go on with the recap, I mentioned I gave like 4 different categories. We can obviously, if there's more we think of as we're going, but I wanted to do biggest surprise, biggest flop, the MVP of the season, which I think that could be driver, team principal, like in general, and then overtake of the year, because a certain overtake of the year was robbed of a win the other day, and I want to give his props.
That's fair. I know my biggest surprise.
All right, what's your biggest surprise?
I would have to go with Franco Colapinto.
Oh, okay.
And his overall performance. I know he struggled towards the end, but he did a very good job of coming in, replacing Logan, kind of dealing with that whole situation, driving on courses that he has never driven on before. And just overall, if you would ask me to grade Franco Colapinto's performance for his entire 2024 season, I would give it like a B+. It's not quite A material, even like A-, but it's still very good. And I think everybody was kind of giving him like a free pass when he came in, because it was like, okay, hey, you're just filling in for Logan. You're not 9 races left in the season. Do your best. So, and the fact that he performed that well, I think was good. I think it was good to see. It's definitely a shock that he doesn't have a seat for 2025.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's that.
My biggest surprise is going to be Haas in general, because of how much they were able to turn everything around. Like I said, going into next year with great momentum. But yeah, I think biggest surprise from everyone: Nico, Kevin, Ollie. Like, I think all of them. I even would specifically say Ollie is also one of the biggest surprises, because getting thrown into the Ferrari in Jeddah.
Yep.
And then kept Nico's car in with like 2 hours. Was it Nico? No, Kevin that was sick.
No, it was
He filled in for Kevin
was
twice.
Sick, yeah.
Insane drop. But yeah, I think Haas is my overall biggest surprise. I can give my biggest flop. I know my biggest flop. Do you want? What if we have the same one? I don't think we do.
All right, ready? Hold on.
Are we saying it one time? Okay, ready?
On 3.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Lance Stroll.
Aston Martin. Okay, we're kind of similar.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
We're kind of similar. Okay. Go ahead. Why is Lance Stroll your biggest flop?
Listen.
Sorry, Linus, if you're listening.
I know I'm going to upset people with this. I know, specifically Linus, I don't want to upset you. Tell me, this is a legitimate question for you. Please answer it. Tell me one thing that man did throughout this entire season that wasn't beaching his car after he had already driven it on a off-road.
Yeah, I can't tell you. He did nothing. There's nothing that's like sticking out to me
right
as memorable from even like a qualifying. I can't say a lot. I can't think of one thing that would be.
I know that he's not my favorite character. I understand that, but still, I don't think he brings anything to Aston Martin, and they're suffering right now by having him on their team. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I do. I'm with you. I do agree. So Aston Martin in general is my biggest flop because I just think they had so much momentum at the beginning of last season, and I thought maybe they would get it back in some way, but they just kind of not flew under the radar, but they just did almost like I can't remember anything. I mean, Fernando Alonso had some good battles and would come out on top. Obviously, with battling Liam a lot and everything, but I can't. There's nothing special about Aston Martin season in general that I can pinpoint as like this was great.
Aston Martin, you're gonna laugh at this analogy. Aston Martin to me kind of like feels like the pet fish of the season. Because they're just there. They don't do anything.
Right, because like you can't even say, like, I'm not even saying Sauber or Kick is the biggest flop, because Joe and Bottas were trying.
They tried. They were
their asses off to drive that car over the finish line winning points. I just can't. I'm not saying that Aston Martin wasn't, but there's nothing like
right. Like
noteworthy.
even and this is I don't know. You could argue this both ways, but even with Sauber not scoring points and then scoring points, with Joe and everything, like they still did something.
Yeah.
Right? Like it wasn't like if Sauber hasn't scored any points, I'll say this. If Sauber did not score any points for the season, they would be my biggest flop. 100%. You come out here, you make this big spectacle. Look at us. We're so cool. Look at our new cool car. And you do nothing with it. At least they scored points. Joe overcame that and fought for the entire season and overcame that and got the points. Aston Martin did nothing noteworthy.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the points, like they finished, Mercedes was in 4th with 468 points. Aston Martin in 5th was with a 94 points.
Right, they didn't even break 100 points.
No, in 5th place. Yeah,
that's with Fernando Alonso on your team.
Yeah, who was on podiums last year, who was at the top of the grid fighting with Max and Checo and Charles. Yeah, no, it was definitely surprise. They were... Honestly, could be my biggest surprise.
Could be your biggest surprise. Yeah, true. Yeah.
MVP of the season. I think I kind of hinted at who I would say MVP of the season was last week. Don't know. And I'm going with the team principal.
Oh, I already know that. It's going to be AO.
No, actually, it's not.
Oh.
My MVP of the season,
Andrea?
I do think AO is in very close second because of what he was able to do with that with Haas.
Right.
I still want to give Haas 2. So I picked someone else. So I do MVP of the season, I have to say, is Andrea Stella. He obviously is the team principal. Zach is the CEO, so he's pretty. And I think there's things out like Andrea doesn't like all the media things, so that's why you see Zach more. But I think, Zach has even said Andrea is such a good leader, and you can tell that Oscar and Lando both respect Andrea and what he watching them in the garage with him or whatever on the pit wall. So he's just what he was able to even turn that team around from the beginning of 2023.
Yeah.
Through to, like we said, they were dead last year at the beginning race, or in 2023, the beginning races, because their car was just so slow and they were having so many weird issues, to turning it around a full year later and winning the constructors is wild. So yeah, Andrea Stella is my biggest MVP. It was my MVP of the season.
That's good. That is a good one.
It's also a fellow Italian and has faith in Charles Leclerc, so I do like the man.
I'll say, you know what? I'll say this. I can't decide.
You have 2 if you have more than 1.
All right, that's fine. My MVPs for the season, Charles and Lando.
Oh! Okay.
For the reasons of the wins that they both got. I think were monumental to them. And watching that as a fan and experiencing that as a Lando fan, and also you experiencing that as a Charles fan, huge. Seeing Lando's win in person, I understand that's very personal to us. But watching Lando's win in general, his first win in general.
True. Even from home, it would have been
great moment to see. An awesome moment to see. Like you said, open the floodgates for McLaren. You turn around the momentum for that whole team for the whole season. Watching Charles's wins in Monaco and Monza and what that meant to him on a personal level is huge. I can relate to that on the smallest level of winning something in front of your friends and family who have watched you grown up. I can relate to that on the micro level.
I can probably give you the example you're thinking of right now.
And having him win Monaco was such a beautiful thing to watch. It is what it is. It was a beautiful moment in sports. It's like, it's the question of like, how can you not be romantic about
literally
sports? It's beautiful. And
that's one thing I'm so excited to see Drive to Survive cover. His Monaco win. It's gonna be so good. But
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. And the call from Alex Jakes too.
Oh, I listen to it all the time.
That lasted like literally the entire lap of Monaco, and Alex Jakes just done it to perfection.
He watched the stands get built as a kid. It's so good. From the streets that raised him,
that's what I want. You know what? I want that as a motivational thing now. Every time I need to get hyped up.
You can get it on a blanket, or I think there's a T-shirt with the Italian call maybe. But
that's good.
They're good 2 MVPs of the season.
Yeah, those are my 2 MVPs for what they mean in general for the season, but also what they mean to each of us.
Yeah. Okay. Overtake of the year. I can give you mine.
I have mine. I know what mine is.
All right, you can go first.
Well, no, go ahead.
So last week was the FIA. Friday was the FIA prize giving gala.
Yes.
And they had this new thing this year where for every different category you could pick the fan moment of the season or whatever. And it was race action, or I think during one of the rally races, it was the one guy drove up on the motorcycle, hopped off, the other driver got on, and they just kept it was insane. When it came to F1, it was overtakes. That's what they ended up going for. So it's kind of like the FIA's overtake of the year. So it was Oscar's double overtake on Lando in Monza.
Okay. That's good. That's a good one.
Yeah, but a little controversial. It was Checo. I can't remember what Checo's was. And then it was Alex's double overtake in Canada.
Oh.
And Checo won.
What?
Alex came in second, Checo won. So my overtake of the year is Alex in Canada. Because that double overtake where he goes on the inside and then the outside in between is such a good. People are it's dangerous. That's the point of overtaking. Is always going to have a little
always going to be a little bit dangerous.
Yeah. And Alex was literally on the limit of that overtake. That one, that Canada one, also in kind of the wet as well because it was still raining. That overtake should have won the other day. Don't know how it didn't. I can't even. I think Checo's is Checo on Alonso or something. When they said his name, I remember being what?
Wild. That is wild to me.
Yeah. But I do recommend, not to interrupt before you go, if I should send you I don't know if they have the clip, but they did it even for the karting kids. And
that's cool.
Yeah, so they did those clips from the karting is so good.
Please send them over to me.
I will. They had the Kenzo one, for his age range one, who did a bunch of stuff with Lewis this past year because he's now on the Mercedes Driver Academy.
That's right. Yeah.
So he won, and then he won the fan moment of the season for him. The clip, it's a last lap. It's karting, so they can go back and forth so many times. Last lap, overtakes, goes off the track, goes back on the track, forces the other driver off the track. I was literally on the edge of my seat. I was how can I watch more karting? Because this is intense.
That's good. How do I watch that, huh?
Yeah.
How do we broadcast that?
Yeah, but my overtake of the year, Alex Albon in Canada. Double overtake.
Speaking of last lap overtakes,
Ooh.
Lewis Hamilton on George Russell.
Yeah,
in
it was a
Abu
good
Dhabi.
overtake. Yeah.
Everything. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, how can you not be romantic about it? And it's
Yeah.
just like everything that overtake just like encapsulates and symbolizes is like, oh, that's so good. Like, it's just like, there's just so much more weight to it. And it was a great on the outside last lap overtake in the last race of the season. And it's just like, yes. Like, it's just like, you're just like so happy for Lewis
like,
doing
yeah,
it.
do it. Yeah.
Yes. You're like, oh, yeah, good for you, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that overtake. I think it's so good. On the surface level of just, like I said, beautiful on the outside overtake. And then everything that it just captures, is fantastic. That's definitely it for me.
Beautiful overtake. The F1 released their overtakes of the year.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because
Please tell me that that one's in there.
it's not.
Come on, people.
I think it's the one that won from each month when they did it. So he didn't win. So it's Ollie's overtake on Yuki in Jeddah. Yuki's
right.
overtake on Nico in Japan. Leclerc on Hamilton in Miami, which that's a good one. Alex in Canada. Oscar in Belgium on Charles. Oscar on Charles in Baku, which is a great overtake.
Yes.
Colapinto on Alonso in Coda. And
Yeah.
Leclerc on Gasly and Sainz in Vegas, and then Leclerc on Lawson, Bottas, and Perez Abu Dhabi, which is basically his start. I think they're counting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the
what overtake for Checo won? The overtake of the year
for FIA.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look.
I'm gonna look it
Checo
up.
Perez FIA overtake. It was during the sprint race of the Brazilian GP. It says as Carlos and Fernando battled for third place, Perez swept in the overtake them both on the inside. I'm telling you, he won with 60% of the vote. And then it was Alex, and then it was Oscar.
This is 2023. I have race highlights. I wish I had just overtake highlights. All right, it's fine.
I can probably find it and send it to you. But yeah, it was from the but yeah, that's who it was. But those were our season recap.
Yes.
Brought to you by BoxBox, which was good.
Brought to you by BoxBox. Moving forward, we are jumping onto our F1 Threads mailbag. This is brought to you by Furious Motorsport. If you guys do not know what Furious Motorsport is, it is a wonderful, wonderful company, apparel company, that makes motorsport jerseys of all kinds. They have basketball jerseys, they have baseball jerseys, they have hockey jerseys, they have crop tops. They now also have tote bags, which is
They're so cool.
Very cool too. They're awesome. We're so happy to be working with them as well. Perfect time to also for the Christmas season, the holiday season, I should say. I don't know if you don't celebrate Christmas. They're wonderful gifts. Casey gave me one 2 years ago for Max Verstappen Red Bull jersey, baseball jersey. It is beautiful.
It was like the first season we both fully were watching.
I love it. I wear it any chance that I can get, and it kind of makes sense to wear it. I.e., when I went to the Boston F1 arcade, I wore it. So lovely, lovely jerseys. Go check them out. Furious Motorsport. It is code Underground10, gets you 10% off your order. So go over to our website. We do also have a link again in our bios, in our social medias. If you use that, it'll take you right to the website. And then when you check out, it'll apply the code directly for you. So same thing. Don't have to worry about applying the code. Just go to the link, do that. You're good to go. But jumping right into F1 Threads mailbag, we received 2 voicemails.
Yes, we did.
One is from our friend Jesse. Thank you for sending
Jesse, new podcast host Jesse.
Yes, new podcast host Jesse. If you guys are still listening at this point, make sure to go follow the Yapping and Racing podcast. That is, like I said, our lovely friend Jesse, and a couple Linus. And Linus, yes, a couple other people from the F1 Threads community. So, yes, please go listen. But Jesse, Thank you for submitting. Here we go. If it loads.
I was like, I can't hear it, but
Yeah. I guess I should have done this beforehand. Why is this taking so long?
It did work beforehand. So I'm gonna close it out and you make sure it plays.
Yeah. We're gonna refresh the page.
Technical difficulties.
Here we go.
Okay.
I got
Adding
it.
Okay.
Here we go. Thank you again, Jesse.
What a season. 2024, you will always be memorable. For me, the season started to get into more of the F1 stuff. So last year, I just watched like the races on Sunday, but this year I was like fully committed, and I never thought that I would be so fully committed to watch like everything, even at work, in the club, everywhere. But yeah, I think my big surprise was going to Silverstone because I didn't know it. Like only 2 weeks beforehand, I got the message from my dad. And then we went there and it was absolutely incredible. Of course, McLaren doing so amazing this year. Lando's first win, Oscar's controversial first win, but we're not talking about that. Them getting multiple wins, other drivers getting multiple wins. It was just iconic and chaotic, but absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that I witnessed everything this season because I wouldn't have missed it for the world. Absolutely amazing.
That's such a perfect way to end it. I would not have, if I missed any part of the season, I would have been pissed because it was so good. It was so good.
I'm taking that quote from you, Jesse. Iconic and chaotic.
Yeah, that's good.
That is a great way to sum it up. That's all. That's fantastic. Yeah.
She is also famous. I don't know if you've ever seen on Threads. She is also famous for watching in the club. If it was like a late night race,
yes,
she would have the race on.
She'd have the race on.
Wherever she was out, she would have the race on. But yeah, that was a good message.
Our second message is brought to you by our friend at Chris.
Brought to you by
Chris. Yeah. I don't know why I started it that way. Thank you, Chris, for submitting. Chris is also a lovely member of the F1 Threads community.
Yes.
So thank you, Chris. This one should work right off the bat too.
Hopefully.
So I think the biggest surprise for me was the turnaround for McLaren and just how good Lando ended up being this year. I think it's going to be really exciting for 2025 to see where the battle between Red Bull and McLaren is going to be, especially with whatever news we get today about Checo and Red Bull and the second Red Bull seat and the second RB seat. So, yeah, I was just wondering also if you guys think that that teams will change their focus midway through 2025 to be more focused towards 2026 with the new regulation change, or will the more dominant teams still continue with their 2025 car upgrades?
That's a good question.
That was a great question.
Yeah.
That was a great question.
That's a really good question.
I think it's going to depend. If it's a tight title fight between Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, if it's a tight title fight between the four, I don't see them completely changing like their tune to focusing on 2026. The lower midfield teams, like we said earlier, I think we expect Williams and who else was it? Sauber, yeah, I could see them.
Sauber, yeah.
Yeah, I could see them maybe focusing more on 2026, maybe not bringing like those summer races where you get the big upgrade packages for every team. They're not as big, but
right.
I think that was a great question. I do think it's a split.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. It's definitely going to be a split. There's 100% going to be the teams that are like, all right, at this point, we're out of World Drivers and we're out of World Constructors.
Yeah.
Focus on next year. You know, like, and we might see it even like crawl its way up the ranks, or up the standings. I don't think any team is just going to kind of be like, oh, screw 2025. That's it. And we'll basically see that on the track. But I do think, especially for teams that's like come to mind, like Williams, and how kind of money tight they are sometimes, like it might be we have a situation again next year where it's, we can't afford to replace the car because we're putting our money now into developing this new car in 2026. And that's where the focus should be, So yeah, great question. I agree. It's definitely going to be a split. I think the first teams that we'll see it happen to will be the bottom of the field teams, all right, we're out of, like I said, we're out of World Constructors Champs. Let's just focus on 2026,
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. That was two good voicemail messages.
Yes.
Short F1 Throws mailbag segment, but perfect F1 Throws mailbag segment.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add before I can close this out?
I got a whole lot of nothing.
Okay. I thought you were saying a whole lot more, and I was like, we're already an hour and 30 into this thing.
Yes.
How much more do you
Everybody lock in for another 30 minutes.
Thank you so much for joining us for episode 90 of F1 Underground. We will not have an episode next week because of the holiday.
Yes.
Obviously, we record every Tuesday. Next Tuesday is Christmas Eve. We will not be recording on Christmas Eve.
Not be recording.
But yeah, so thank you so much for joining us. If you have, or follow us over on Instagram and Threads at Underground F1 and over on Twitter at Underground_F1. Please like, comment, and subscribe over on wherever you listen to your podcasts, or give us a subscribe over on YouTube. As always, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all a happy holiday and happy New Year. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Yeah, we're recording right before New Year. 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll have an episode out before the New Year. So not just see you in the New Year yet.
Yeah, you got us for one more time in 2024.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you later, people.